this is just one example of an isolation coat. You don't have to get this brand, but this brand happened to be recommended to me, so I went ahead and bought it. I haven't really seen this at like Walmart or anything like that. I did get this from the art store, the Blick art store, but I'm positive they would have it at like Michael's and places like that. So really quickly, this is a clear glossy barrier applied on top of acrylics before varnish. We want to mix well, allow bubbles to dissipate, and then apply to dry acrylic painting. So you want to make sure that your painting is dry. And I'm taking a painting from last semester that I'm varnishing. Okay, and so I know for sure this is dry because it's been several months. But if you want to varnish as soon as possible, I would wait at least a week and for like a regular painting like this. And if you applied extreme thick brush strokes, you know, if you applied something extremely thick, then you want to wait longer. But the thicker it is, the longer you should wait. It's just better to be certain because you don't want moisture to get caught in underneath the varnish and isolation coat. Okay, so brushing over textured surfaces can create foam. Really quickly about that, when you have a extremely textured surface, okay, for instance, let me grab a brush here. This is just an example. Okay, when we apply the varnish, we normally just kind of go across like this and so forth for the smooth painting like that. But for a more textured painting, let me grab a textured painting just so you guys can kind of see, get a visual on it. You're not going to be just going straight across like that, right? Okay, so this has some high texture on it. It's really thick right here for sure. You can really see that. You're not going to go across like this. That's going to create a bunch of bubbles and you're going to miss all the little spots in between. You're going to be more applying with the brush strokes that you made. So it really just depends on what brush strokes you had. Here, it's a lot of circular. I actually did this with a palette knife, you guys. So it's going to be circular motions to go with that. So then you get all the little crevices. So just something to keep in mind when you apply both isolation coat and varnish. Okay. Okay, it says second or third coats may be necessary to achieve an even sheen. Allow 24 hours for drying before applying varnish. Okay, that's why we're doing this one today. Next week I'll show you guys and apply the varnish. Clean up with soap and water. Health and safety, avoid ingestion, excessive skin contact, and inhalation of spray mist. This is not a spray, so we're good here. I also did want to show you, this is the one we just varnished in Artsy Lounge. And I don't know if you can tell the difference, but there is already a difference here, okay? So this is varnish. This is not varnish. Like, I know they're two different paintings, so I wish I had two of the exact same paintings to show you and compare, but man, it's such a huge difference. The colors of the paint are so much more brilliant on this one after applying some of that isolation coat. So really cool. And then next week we'll apply the varnish, and just really quickly showing you the two varnishes I have. We've got the matte varnish, which is no shine, right? No shine, and then a gloss varnish, which is going to give you a nice shiny finish. Let me show you this one. This one is the one where I did the gloss. Okay, you can really see the sheen on that. And they have other ones at the store, you guys. They have like extreme high sheen, and they have some other options there that you guys can get. So the one that you guys buy though, just keep in mind when you use it, really make sure you read the directions. They're all, some of them are different. Some of them you have to add water. So this one you have to add water, and this one you do not. Okay, so let's apply a coat to this painting here. Okay, so what I like to do, and this is not necessary, but I like to do this because oh, here it is. No, that's not. Here it is. Got too many things going on here. Okay. Because we're supposed to mix this well, I do not want to shake this, because when I shake it, there's going to be all these bubbles and it's just going to take forever to pop the bubbles. So you could also get like a little stick and mix it up inside there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour it in this little dish here, because then I can mix it, and at the same time I'm not like trying to pour it and make a mess, you know. So just pouring a little bit in here already like that. And you want to use a nice soft brush. Now this brush is the one I used on Tuesday, so it's still a little bit damp. But you want to have a separate brush for your isolation coat. You don't want to use a brush that's been, you know, that you used with paint, because it could have little paint particles stuck in it, and when you go to apply it, you're going to get you might get little paint particles stuck where you don't want it. So it's good to have a separate brush. You can use the same brush for your isolation coat and your varnish. You just need to make sure to thoroughly clean it out. So I usually just thoroughly rinse it with some soap and water. And that's usually what I do. But I do actually have a separate brush for varnish, but I ended up having to use it for paint the other day. So my varnish brush is ruined, but I can go get another one, which is fine. I'm just going to use this brush right now to clean this off just a little bit and make sure there's no dust particles on that. Since this has been kind of, I did put this away for a while, so it should be fine. But just kind of brushing it off, getting rid of any dust. And then if your actual painting has some fingerprints, you can actually get a very lightly damp cloth and also just touch very lightly, kind of, you know, in circular motions, go over the spots where you might have little oil stains or whatever. And that you should usually take it out without damaging the painting. Okay, so I'm going to take my brush and I'm just going to mix this up here. Okay, and then I'm just gonna, I like to try to apply it towards the center of the painting and then work out, because that way it's not just dripping all over the place. So now once I've got it covered, I'm going to work kind of like this way from out to in. That way it doesn't just drip all over. Just making sure I cover the whole thing. Do want to make sure that I actually get the edges as well. And you're welcome to set this on top of a few cups like I've done in the past with the acrylic pour. You can, if you want, set this on top and then let it drip off a little bit if you're applying something a little bit thicker for some reason. but I feel like this works fine. The only thing is what I'm going to do is I'm going to be moving this to a plastic sheet. That way it doesn't stick. Okay, and I'm going to set this in the other room, away in a room where the cat cannot get to, because you don't want little hairs getting stuck in your painting. So if you don't have a separate room, you can just set like a cardboard box over it so that it doesn't get hairs and so forth. This is the time to take out any weird things. Like this kind of just came out. It was probably a little piece of a brush or something. I'm not sure what that was, but you know, take a look at it before you set it down. Make sure there's no large hairs sticking somewhere, because that will bug you later. It will bother you. Okay, so that looks good. I'm just going to rinse this brush. I'm going to stick it right into, I have a bowl right here with some soapy water. And oh dear, did I get some? Yeah, I got some on this palette that I was going to be using later. Didn't mean to do that. Okay, I gotta change that out now. Okay, so I am going to move this now to the other room. I'm gonna pause the recording.